Welcome. You are here with me, Ty. So today we're gonna start a wonderful journey into the world. Yes, the world of web scraping. Right. So without further ado, I'd like to let you guys in on a little thing and to just throw in a disclaimer right here. This here is for educational purposes. So if you decide to use this knowledge for nefarious purposes, you might find yourself in quite a lot of trouble, depending on who you mess with. And yeah, so I'm not encouraging you to do that. I'm just letting you know that this is for educational purposes. So today started out with something quite interesting. So a couple weeks ago, I heard of a site. It's called gettingtopc.com, and I found the content really interesting. And they do have some software and stuff. It's quite a long story. So I wrote an email and I just requested permission to use their site as a subject rather on this web scraping tutorial, on this web scraping series where we are scraping. So, and they said, yeah, sure, go ahead. It was quite a simple response. And I was at some point just quite curious as to why they didn't write something more detailed to permit me to do this. But anyhow, they did respond, and now here we are. We are starting this journey. So, a little bit about me. My name is Untitled Chapter. Ninontimando so usipota mankantangan bopozitshali uzosimuso kusimadonsela umabuya mthiyane somuhle nongunde ovula umlomo kuphumthula amakhosikazi mina lo ungwele usitshela. So I'm gonna start with this and let's begin. Web scraping 1 with JavaScript, the introduction. Right. So just before we begin, there's a couple of things that I need you guys to at least have and or understand, right? So firstly, let's really get into what is web scraping, right? Web scraping. Okay, so according to Wikipedia, because we all trust Wikipedia, don't we? For those who don't, yeah, they don't. I also kind of don't, but simple explanation to kind of get the gist of it. Web scraping, web harvesting, or web data extraction is data scraping used for extracting data from websites. The web scraping software may directly access the World Wide Web using hypertext transfer protocol and blah. And there's also another one right here which says web scraping is a process of using bots to extract content and data from a website, right? Unlike screen scraping, which only copies the pixels, which is pretty much like taking a screenshot, right? Which only copies pixels displayed on screen. Web scraping extracts underlying HTML code and with the data stored in the database. So if you run in a blog, so if you got like a blog site and you just want to pull the content from it, let's say once after a while, right? Let's say you just want to grab the first page, and the first page has, let's say, 10 items, and they do publish 10 items every like 2 weeks and so on. You can always put together your own bot, right? Or your own piece of software, your own little program that calls out once every 2 weeks, once every fortnight, and gets that data, stores it for you, or maybe sends it to your phone and so on and so forth. All that kind of stuff. It's just kind of thing that that you might want to have. So where do I personally use web scraping? Like, when do I scrape a site, right? If I'm looking for sample data, right? For example, I could be looking for sample data. Let's say building a little API, right? Let's say it's a blog post kind of an API. and there's some articles somewhere that I'm quite interested in, right? Or articles that I would just like to use, let's say to build the API and to also drive me to, do the front end, also like some content to just use in development, right? Not that I'm going to actually publish in production, but content that I'm actually going to use in development. I just scrape a site, pull in some JSON, push it into to the API or to the back end, and just serve it. Just serve it during development, and just kind of quickens the process. It just kind of quickens the process. And also, if you really are tired of if you're just trying to avoid clickbaits and so on, yeah, you can always just go on, check the underlying HTML and just scrape the site, and just get the code, get the data that you're looking for, links, images, and all that stuff, and then you can just display it, or send it off to your phone, or could have like your own screen reader and so on. You can always do that, right? So today, like I said, starting with JavaScript. I know I'm a bit quick, right? But I just want to get you guys, running with this, as soon as possible, because web scraping is awesome. If you're kind of having trouble understanding how JavaScript works with the DOM, right, and how it actually interacts with or how it manipulates, or how we can use it to manipulate, the content of a web page, right? Stick around. Like, this here is awesome. So this here is part JavaScript tutorial, which is just driving web scraping, right? So this time we're not writing anything to the screen, we're not doing it, we're just reading from the page. That's what we're doing. All right, so tools, right? Let's get to the tools that you need. Tools that you need right now, you will need a web browser, right? Now, two very common web browsers. You could use Firefox or Chrome, right? But for this, I'm going to use Firefox for one feature, right? It's here, right? I do not have like a multi-line editor, like a multi-line code editor right here. I'm not sure if you can enable that right here, but I don't think so. I don't think you can enable that right here. So if you really want to follow along with this, join me in Mozilla Firefox. So that's where we're gonna go right here. We'll come back to Chrome. Right, we'll come back to Chrome because it's something that Chrome does a bit better than Firefox. It's just one thing actually, for me, for this particular session. So let's do that. Mozilla Firefox, right? So you want to go to getintopc.com, right? Cool. There we go. So getintopc.com. This is the site, right? So as you can see, there is we have a couple of items right here. It's about 6 items, right? And what we want is just these little cards right here, these little boxes right here, and the content, and the content or data within them, right? We're not going to go through all 2018 pages, but we're just going to focus on this one, right? Just going to focus on this little one right here, right? So this is where your HTML comes in, right? This is where your knowledge and understanding of the hypertext markup language comes in, right? So I'm pretty sure that by now, right, when you look at a website or particular user interface, right, and you see, let's say, and you see like a recurring kind of a format or a structure, right, it's most definitely a recurring or repeated markup, right? So such is the case right here with this. So these 6 squares right here, let me just do that, right? So these 6 squares right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? Their markup is just the same, right? Their structure is just the same. It's similar, right? However, the data in them, right, is quite different, right? So that's to our advantage right now. unlike some sites that I have run into, that are kind of impossible, not really impossible, but difficult to scrape, right? Um, like some of those sites, they don't really have this kind of markup. They just print that text, they just give you that text and separate it by, let's say, HR text, like horizontal lines and so on. And there's a whole lot of things going on right there, which is quite it's quite difficult to wrap your head around it. So here we have 6 boxes, right, or 6 cards. Let's just refer to them as cards, and we want the data in them, right? What kind of data do we want? First of all, we want the image, right? Specifically the link to the image, right, or the URL of the image. We want the text of this link and this header right here, and we also want the link that leads to, right, or that it goes to, right? We're not going to focus much on this, right? And next and lastly, we just want that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 things that we want, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So next, developer tools, right? It's Control-Shift-I, right? Or your inspector. You can always check your inspector. It's one way of doing it. Okay, next thing that we're gonna do right now is okay, okay. Okay, so what we need to do right now, right? What we have to do right now is to locate these cards right here, right? We need to locate these cards right here, as we refer to them, right? So go ahead and click on your pick an element, Control-Shift-C, right, on Firefox, and just hover over that, right? So we want this whole card, this entire area, right, this entire card highlighted, right? We just want to see it highlighted or focused on, right, like that. So hover over it like that and click, and then you go to your inspector, and then the div, right, or the element that's highlighted right here, that's focused on, should be a card. So if we click on that little triangle right there to expand it or collapse it, yeah, should see that, right? So we're going to work based on this. Seeing that all the others, right, seeing that the rest of them are just the same thing with different content, we're just going to follow this one, right? It's going to follow the structure of this one. So the first thing that we need, right, let me have this down. Let me have this here in comments. So get the header a tag. Let's do that. A tag, right? Next, we need to let's locate first. Locate image, right? And locate paragraph, right? So I have this in a comment. So header, this we have a couple attributes. So I'm gonna select element again, select my header, and there we go. I have an H2, right, which has a child of an anchor, right? So I'll say parent is H2, right? Child is anchor, attributes, right? I have a list of attributes, the attributes to get, right? So I need to get attributes of href, right? And I'm gonna get the inner text, right? Just laying things out right here for now, so that when we do write our code, we know what we're doing, right? So now let me say parent, the target attribute will be to be a class which has a value of title, right? Cool. So we're going to target this to get this, and in this we're going to get the inner text and the href. So now we just killed two birds with one stone, just like that. Next, we want the image, right? The image, does it have a parent? Does our image have a parent? Well, let's see about that. Don't close that h2. I have this a right here, this anchor, just before the h2, just before the h2. I'm going to open that. So this is the anchor right here with the ID of thumb264523 with the class of post thumb. So I'm just going to expand that, and inside it, it has a picture. Okay. Source, the source is that data source, and it has that webp, of which that's not what I want. I want the image. So I check sibling to the source, I'm sure. Is it? Yeah. The sibling to this source is the image, which is this one. Which when as I clicked on it, right, or when I hover on it, you can see it's highlighted right here. So hover on it, it's highlighted right there. So this is what I want. So how am I going to find this code? Do I have any other image in this particular div, right, or this particular post or card, right? No, I don't have any other image, so I'll just call one image, right? So I'll just say target tag img, right? And attributes, I want to get attributes of src, right? Wonderful. So now we're done with that. The next thing that we'll want to do is this text right here, of which there's only one paragraph. So paragraph and target tag, gonna have a paragraph, and then the attributes to get, right, or what we want from it is inner text, right? In terms of extras, right, we need to remove all children, yeah, or set children text to now, or an empty string, right? So now our procedure is laid out, right? So this is what we're going to do, right? Step one, right, we need to get the header, right, or the title of the of this card, right, which is this here, right, in green, right, this text in green, or this element in green, which is an anchor tag, right? But this anchor tag is inside an h2, hence parent, right? Hence, right here, I say the parent is that, is h2, right? So now, what we're going to do next? What we'll do first, let's make a function, right? To start with this. So scraper. So first things first, right? I need to get all of these elements, right? I need all of them, right? I need all of these cards, and in total I have 6 cards, right? So I'll say const cards document, not document, document dot query selector. I want to get these by a particular attribute, right? So this is the part where I actually explain a couple things to you in JavaScript, right? So in cases like this, where you have multiple instances of a particular markup, right, and you want to select all of those instances currently present in the document, right, you use select all, right? You use select all, right? But if you just want to select one, you can just say select, right? Query select, right? We'll just select one. But in this instance, we want all of them, so we select all. So right now, right, the biggest problem right here is we have a lot of noise, right, in this, right? I say a lot of noise because there are a couple of things that change, right? For example, if you look at the class, like the class attribute right here, right, on the first one, there is post 264523, and then here it's post 264509, and then right here it changes, and then right here it changes, and then right here it changes, right? So that one is not consistent, right? And we cannot use that. Now the first class, right, of clear block, right, we also cannot use this, right? We also cannot use this because this class right here is most definitely in use, or most probably in use by other objects elsewhere that we're not interested in, or other markups that we're not interested in, right? So we're going to forget about that. However, post is really interesting, right? Because it's only available here, right? And type post also is available here, right? So how are we going to do this? How are we going to do it? Well, I'm just going to say I'm gonna use a type post for this instance, or for the purposes of this tutorial. So I'll come down here and I'll say dot type dash post, right? And I'm gonna console.log. Just bring this up a little bit. So I'm gonna console log with part, right? And then I'm gonna run a function. Cool. No. So if we check right here, so node list 6, right? So we have 6 of these we have 6 of these nodes or elements, right? And they're highlighted right there, which just show up right there. All right. Yeah, show the logs debug also. Cool. Cut the noise. Okay. Now that we know probably done with this. Let's start then actually getting our elements, right? Let's start actually putting our elements in, right? Start pulling our stuff in right now. So first things first, I'm gonna say it's going to expand this. Now header, right? Header is we're going to get the header saying const header, right? Now before we even start trying to pull content out, right, we need to do this in a loop, right? So we can use a for loop, right, but that one gets messy and noisy really quick, right? So we'll use a for each. So cards.for each, right? And by the way, with ES6 you can decide to or not to add your your semicolons. One thing to not stress about nowadays. So now cards, right, for each card. Now as we're writing this, we're going to write this code from the perspective of like an individual card. They're going to treat it as if we're working with one card. Seeing that they all have the same markup, we're just going to treat it as if we're working with one card, right? So I have a const, let me say card underscore header, right? Card underscore header, I'll say card query selector, right? I want to get an h2, right? If you remember, parent, get the parent first, so we're getting an h2, right? Of which this h2 is, come over here, didn't focus again, right? First, to that one, post details, that's that. It's this h2 right here, right? This one. This is what we want to get. Of course, we could get it by title, but it still doesn't make a difference because it's the only h2 in this particular card. So h2, right? So in h2, I want children, and in children I want the first index, right? So that's our card header. So now from our card header, now from the element that we've selected as our card header, what we want to do, right, we want to derive from its href attribute a URL, right? So we're going to say card header get attribute href, right? Now we have our URL, right? To show our URL, right? Console log URL. So I'm gonna clear that and run this. Here are our URLs, just like that. We have all 6 of them, right? For each and every one of these elements. So suppose this element, right, or suppose this page had maybe 100 of these little boxes right here, would also have 100 of these, because we'd iterate through all of them as we have selected them right here, right, as our selector has found them, right? Now I'm realizing that this isn't really a kind of a beginner's level, right? But if you have a grasp of JavaScript, I'm pretty sure you're already catching on fast on what's actually happening here. All right then, the next thing we're going to do is we need to get then the text, right? So I'll say title, right? I'll say the title is going to be card header dot inner text, right? Now we have that. So we can also log that, right? We can also log out that, right? I'll close the debugger and just run my logs. Cool. All right, there's our title. Here is the text of our titles. You can see the last one also matches with that one. Check the first one, right? Also matches with that one. Oh, I think I need my glasses now. Okay, so this is where we are right now, right? So the next thing that we will want to do, right, is to get the image, right? Same concept applies, right? Same concept applies. So const, right, card underscore img, there's a variable, card dot query selector, saying that there's only one image. I just get that image, right? And get yeah, I could just do this all at once down here. Const img, right? Image is card dot query selector. I want to get the image, and from the image I want to get an attribute. I want to get an attribute of src, right, of the source. So if I come right here and say image, right, clear that and run that, and then we can see this right here. What I've got now is the image, right? We have a link to the image. So if I open this up in a new tab, and I go to the new tab, okay, open it up in a new tab, there's the first image. If I go and check the last image, you can see that image right there. I'm not so sure if you can see that image. There's the image right there, right? So now we've got our images. So all of this has already been, we've already like expressed it right here. So target tag is img, hence my query selector is selecting the img. Get attributes, there's only one attribute which I'm getting, which is the src, right? Just like that. So now next, right, we want the paragraph, right? So I'm just going to call this card text, right? Const card underscore text card dot query selector, and query selector I want paragraph. There's only one paragraph in this card anyway, so it's not really a problem, right? Not really a problem. So now what I want, right, I want to remove the children, right? I want to remove every child, not necessarily, no, let me not remove every child, right? When I say set child text to an empty string, right? So what I'll do here is I'll say cool card text dot children, the first child dot inner text equals now, right? But before I do that, right, I want to show you the difference, right? So I want to say card text the children, right? Let me just show you the children, right, or what is in here, right? So what I'm focusing on right now, right, before I get ahead of myself, right? So what I want to remove is this right here, this more, right? This little more, little button right here, or this little link right here. This is what I want to remove, right? And this little button right here, it's in this paragraph, right? It's part of this paragraph as a child, right? So what I've done, right? What I've done is target tag, right? I've targeted my paragraph and I've assigned it to card text, right? Now, the next thing that I want to do, right, is to get inner text, right? But then I want to do this last, right, after I've removed that. Let me show you. Let me show you this. Let me show you. Children. Let me run this and get children. So now, first child is this little anchor tag right here, which is this, right? A attributes and so on and so on. So I have that, right? And I just want to hide that text, right? So let me show you the inner text then before I run that little function right there. So the inner text, you can see right here, it has that that more with the ellipses in the parentheses, you know, and the brackets and stuff. It has this, right? And I don't really want that, because imagine then if I'm gonna take this data and send it somewhere else, right? And this more right here doesn't really lead anywhere, right? It just becomes, it's pretty pointless, right? If it's not doing anything. Unlike right here in the page, when you click on it, it takes you somewhere. But here, it just doesn't take you anywhere. Which then becomes a really huge problem, right? It then becomes a really, really huge problem, right? Because it means on that other side, you would have to clean it up then. You know, you'd have to remove it. Where else you can just deal with it once and, you know, and forget about it. So now I'm just going to uncomment that this little line right here. So what this line says, right, or what this line does is in card text, right, and the element that we've selected, right, which is a query selection, right, of the paragraph, this paragraph right here, right, amongst its children, right, of which there's only one child, right. The first child, I want to set the text, right, to an empty string, right? Just set the text to nothing, right? And then when that's done, right, I just want to print it out, right? I just want to log it to the console, right? So I'm just going to run this again. Now, if you check the new text, it doesn't have that, right? It doesn't have that little more at the end. But this text here does, right? So before and after, before, after, right? You can just break it down into steps whenever you do or whenever you can. Okay, now that we have our text, let me just say let me call this description text dot inner text. Oh yeah, and another thing, when I run this, if you can see here, that more is also not there. It just also disappeared. Didn't really disappear, it's still there. As you can see, if I hover my mouse, it just doesn't have any text. Understand? The tag doesn't have any text in it, so that's something to consider, right? Okay, so now I will have let's product equal an object where I'll have a URL image, right? I'm just calling all of the things that I've created right now. Title, just adding all these variables, and description, right? Then yeah, I'd like to have products, right? Let's use it as a variable, and then now I have a product right here, right, which has, I have a product object which has the data of the card, right? So what I want to do now is to add this product to this list here of product, to this empty list of products, right? So product push this product right there, and when all is said and done, I will console log my products. Oh no, I have to console log after I run it. So console log product, right? So I should have the list of all of these products right here. So clean that up. I have an array of 6, which is true, which is valid because I have 6 cards right here. So right now this right here is a beautiful mess. So I'm just gonna take all of this code. Just gonna take the function actually. And take it to Chrome, where I'll go to getintoPC.com. Yes. Cool. Console, this close that too. Now, as you can see, almost the same, right? Yeah, I think it's just the same thing, right? It's just the same thing here. So I'll just go ahead and paste this right here. I'll console log product a little later on, right? So I'm just going to run this function right now. Or let me also just instantiate the function. Fine. Now I have a function that does that. So I'll run scraper, which would do its thing, and then I'd like to see product. Six, and there we go. There we are right there. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 length 6, which I have 6 cards right there. First card, we check the description. Here's the description right here. It matches, right? The image is that the URL of the image, right? The title is the same thing, and the URL is also just about the same. It's just the same. Whoa! Okay, so this right here sums up what we're doing. Kind of sums up what we're doing. So you have a web page which has data, and you want to read the data, right? You want to read the data. You just want to get the data, pull it, summarize it, group it up, maybe pack it too, and maybe ship it off, or maybe use it temporarily for something of a particular purpose. Because to be honest, it's not every system that is always unique. There's always similarities here and there, or just a couple of things. So that's one thing to pay attention to. Right. One thing to really pay attention to. So yeah, that's it for today. I need to attend to my niece now. All right then. Thank you for watching. I'll make this code available on GitHub. I'll have the link below. It's actually just one file though. it's just gonna be one file. It's gonna be also gonna be a bit of a description. But other than that, this right here is your introduction to web scraping. If you're thinking, oh, this is pretty difficult and so on and so forth, the main thing that you should understand is that you just need to practice, 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 and keep on practicing, and just keep on and on and on and on, and just keep on practicing. Put time into it, and you will get it. Start to understand it. But web scraping in itself it's pretty interesting. Um, it's something. It's a concept, right? So it's a procedure that is pretty awesome to know and to understand. All right then. So this sums it up. I think this is kind of bare bones enough, and it's hands-on just about enough, and it's a bit of a challenge enough for those who are still starting out. But the concepts are still the same. If you've used JavaScript before, in maybe your assignment or work project and so on, right? And you've actually manipulated some components on the DOM, maybe written text to something, toyed with the attributes of an element to do something, maybe get data or send data off to another link or destination and so on. I think if you've done that before, then understanding web scraping is pretty easy, because right now you're not just not just writing JavaScript. You're actually just reading from it, packing it up, right, and working with it from that point, right? So usually I use Java. It's kind of counterintuitive, right? If you kind of think about it, like if you try to think hard about it. But what I usually do is, let's say it's a site, right, and there's quite a lot of clickbait, right, that's going on right there. Right? But then I read, like, there's an article that I'm trying to get to. I just go to the developer tools, just get that element, right? I get that particular article that I want to read, and I just pull the data out of it, using some JS, in just a couple of selections, pick it up, stringify, put it in local storage, and then maybe later on, if I decide to put together an API where I could just be sending off JSON, yeah, I might just be doing it. But for now, I think this sums it up. This is where we are right now. This series continues. And in continuation of the series, actually in the next episode, we'll be working with a beautiful tool called Beautiful Soup 4. It's a Python tool. I'll show you how to use it and how to apply it, and we'll traverse the site, and hopefully in the end we will have a copy of getintopc.com that we can always serve maybe via an API on our local system, right? So this is where we are. This is it for this episode. So like I said, try it, try again, try again. Learn how to work with it, learn how to use it, learn how it works, learn how you can apply it, or figure out how you can apply it in your work. And yeah, as always, have fun. So Ty here, Ronald here, signing out. Thank you.